Hello everyone, this is Remlace from Forward to K Theories, and welcome to the February edition of the Patreon Q&A sessions. As always, if you want your particular questions answered, then click the link in the video description below and help support the channel by becoming a patron. Now, let's jump straight into the questions. Austin Horner asks, do the Chaos Gods see the Emperor as an equal or just another human? They don't see him as just another human, they view him as an anomaly, a freak, because they call him the anathema. In essence, they view him as something that really shouldn't be there, so a human that shouldn't be as powerful as he is. So while they don't view the Emperor as an equal per se, they acknowledge the fact that he is significantly more powerful than a regular human. Brent Feast asks, given how many chapters are strongly suspected to be descended from traitor legions, are there any traitor legions that we know of that don't have at least one loyalist chapter within their ranks? As far as I'm aware, the Word Bearers didn't have a loyalist chapter, but there was at least one loyalist individual, Buthuzanarek. I say loyalist. He still fought alongside the Word Bearers, but his entire plan was to get close enough to Lorgar to kill him. Obviously, that failed, because Lorgar's still around. Diego Flores asks, if you started collecting Necromunda, which I do plan on doing, which gang would you collect, or would you use the rules for Chaos Cultists who serve Night Lords when they get the rules? I'm not entirely sure. I would have to see what the model range looks like for all the gangs, and to see if they actually include any new gangs. Because with the original rendition of Necromunda, they did include new gangs in the supplementary books, like White Dwarf for example. I would like to see them try and bring back the Pit Slave gangs, because those are just awesome for customization, having these, really tough cyborgs with like buzzsaw arms, chainsaw arms, giant crab claws. They were kind of awesome. That being said as well, I wouldn't mind seeing Arbites gangs, which would be pretty cool to collect as well, being, I am the law, you must stop this slot dealing Goliath gang. Yeah. Yes, that was a terrible Stallone impression, but I don't care. So in answer to your question, it depends on if any new gangs come out and what the model ranges are like. Because what we have with the Goliaths, Escher and Orlok, they all look so good it's hard to pick just one. Luke Welsh asks, if you convinced every orc in the galaxy that the Chaos Gods can die, would their weird if we think we can do it magic make the Chaos Gods vulnerable to dying? Okay, I assume you're asking, if all the orcs believe the Chaos Gods can die, can they die? Well, we know gods can die. I mean, Slaanesh killed the majority of the gods from the Eldari pantheon, barring, Chigorak, Isha, and Cain. Inyad doesn't count because he wasn't around then. So, yeah, the Chaos Gods can potentially die, it's just more of a question of what can actually kill them. Nat3.Despelez asks, now that Guilliman is the leader of the Imperium, if the secrets of the Dark Angels were to become known, do you think he would let it slide, seeing as how Guilliman and the Lion were close at the end of the heresy, or would he seek to punish them? I don't think that Guilliman would punish the Dark Angels, simply because the Dark Angels themselves are still officially loyal. I think he would have some grudging respect for them for trying to keep their affairs internal, as it were, to try and sort out their own problems. But at the same time, he might reprimand the Dark Angels for not seeking the assistance of other factions within the Imperium. That's my take on it anyway. Upsig Stabber asks, do you think Belisarius Cawl is a robot, meaning he's turned himself into a ghost in the machine AI due to replacing his brain piecemeal with cybernetics? Well, he's not a robot considering the fact that he still has organic components. I mean, his arms are still organic if you look at the official artwork. It's just organic components that are starting to rot. That being said, in regards to his brain, he's probably augmented his brain with various cognitive enhancements, computer board circuitry, that kind of thing. So him becoming more and more robotic, even though he's not going to be a true robot, is certainly a possibility, especially when you take into consideration that the fabricated general of Mars is literally little more than a giant block of machinery that has to be airlifted in and out of the Imperial Palace. Brent Feast asks, is it possible that either the 2nd or 11th Primarch was killed in battle rather than executed by Leman Russ? Firstly, it was never confirmed that the Lost Primarchs were indeed executed. It's only implied. And that being said, there's also evidence to suggest that they were simply exiled. But yeah, there is a possibility that they died in battle, especially with Horus Heresy Book 7 Inferno, mentioning the conflict with the Rangdan Cerebrors, which has the Imperium lost numerous numbers of troops. It lost Titan legions, Imperial Army regiments, and data redacted entire Space Marine legions. So that could be hinting towards it, but it could be just another red herring. But yes, it is definitely possible. Ashbringer asks, if 40k had to end completely, as in no restarting the galaxy or rebooting the franchise, how would you have the 40k franchise end? How would you want it to end? Chaos Sonids consuming the galaxy, Eldar or Imperium returns Ascendant, or something else entirely? If you're going to end it, you need to wrap up a crap ton of loose ends. You need to wrap up the whole Abaddon trying to attack Terra arc, you need to wrap up the whole Iniad God of the Dead arc, you need to wrap up the whole Tyrannid arc, you need to wrap up the whole Awakening Necron Dynasties arc. It's extremely long and complicated to do, and that being said, it also brings you the opportunity to, say, bring back the Primarchs, or to resurrect the Emperor and have a gigantic apocalyptic battle. Something like this needs to be delved into more detail that I can actually give in this particular video, I'm afraid. Cayman Astartes asks, let's say Khorne allows it. Since Khaine and Khorne are similar in nature and aspects, could a champion of Khorne theoretically obtain the powers and form of an avatar of Khaine, becoming a champion of Khaine? While he is not an Eldar himself, through the worship of Khorne and the aspects he represents, should possibly qualify him to earn Khaine's blessing, right? If a champion of Khaine is a possible feat, where would their power put them? It depends on what you define as a champion of Khaine. Do you mean a demon of Khaine or just a champion of Khaine? Because technically the Exarchs are all champions of Khaine. If you mean a demon of Khaine, that'd be something else entirely. I don't think a Khorne worshipper would inadvertently become a champion of Khaine. If anything, it would be the other way around, considering Khorne himself is the much stronger god. And Khorne is stronger because Khaine has been shattered into 1,000,000 fragments. We also know that you can ascend to become a demon of the Chaos Gods, even though you weren't a worshipper of them. The novel Warden of the Blade has an Imperial Guard general who fought against the hordes of Slaanesh, and when she died, she became a demon prince of Slaanesh. It's a very weird story which I won't go into detail here, but suffice to say, I suggest people check out the story. And finally, Zero Hits asks, Malcador the Sigillite. It is known that he died fulfilling his duty to the Emperor by sitting on the Golden Throne in his master's place during the final battle over Terra. This utterly destroyed his physical form, but what about his soul? Now this is actually going to be a subject of a video in a few weeks, so I won't go into any more detail here. And that concludes this edition of the Patreon Q&A sessions. As always, if you'd like to support this channel and become a patron, then click the link in the video description below. This video will be up on Patreon first, so if you want your questions answered, leave them in the comments section of the video on Patreon. And until next time, this has been Remlace from 40k Theories, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.